So you decided to join the Army, and you maybe saw the video where I made 5 ways to impress your drill sergeants, and today I'm going to talk about should you actually try and impress your drill sergeants. So this is going to be a video in reply to a lot of the comments that I had on that video, which has just like blown up. It's literally crazy how many views that video's gotten. 5 things that will impress your drill sergeants. And there's a lot of people who are like, you know, you can't impress your drill sergeant. Don't try to impress your drill sergeant. Don't try to stand out. Don't try to do anything special. Fly under the radar, right? So that's a lot of people's opinions going through basic training, is to fly under the radar. And that was my original plan going to basic training. I did not want to be known by the drill sergeants. I did a pretty good job for a good week and a half or 2 weeks. They didn't know who I was. The drill sergeants didn't know who I was. But quickly I became the PG and that was all over with, right? Now I want to say real quick, I mentioned this in the 5 ways to impress your drill sergeants video, but I didn't make it super duper clear, right? If you are actually trying to impress your drill sergeants, if you're trying to do good things, if you score, you know, a 300 plus on your PT score, you know, if you get like a 350 on your PT score extended scale, your drill sergeants are going to think, holy crap, that dude just got a 350 on his PT score. They're not going to come up to you and be like, hey, pat on the back, good job, I cannot believe you did that, that really impressed me. You're not going to know when your drill sergeants impressed you, and that was a big misconception that I got on that video. I said it briefly, but a lot of people either didn't watch that far in the video, which is probably the case, or just missed that portion when I talked about that. But your drill sergeants aren't going to let you know that they're impressed by you. Like, it is just a thing. Like, somebody left a comment even about their Marine drill sergeants, that Marine drill sergeants is the same thing. They're just people. So like, if you do really good things, they're not going to tell you, hey, that's awesome, but they're going to think to themselves, crap, that's actually a good soldier. So that's kind of the mindset that they're going to have. They're just not going to tell you. Another way that I kind of can confirm this is one of my drill sergeant's wives. Basically, there's like a day at basic training where you can go and buy some stuff, some of the company t-shirts and stuff like that, and the drill sergeant's wives will be the ones kind of like selling you certain things. And some of the wives were talking about how, oh, you're that guy, and we're like, oh, holy crap, like the drill sergeants actually talk about us when they're home. So like, they are like acknowledging either this guy's like super funny, this guy's like super weird, this guy's got ridiculous, you know, skills with, you know, whatever stuff. So they are going to think about that, but you're not going to know. So should you actually try and impress your drill sergeants? And maybe you're not trying to suck up to them or anything, but like, you know, should you do good? Should you do well? If you want to be the platoon leader or in a leadership position, you're going to have to do these things, and you're not going to be able to fly under the radar. Now, flying under the radar and being the leader are kind of like the 2 different ways that you can go through basic training. Flying under the radar, the way that you can do that is by not doing anything super duper great. Don't get a good PT score, which I highly don't recommend that you do that. I recommend that you do get a good PT score. Don't worry about the people that say, oh, if you get a 300 then the drill sergeants are going to recognize you, like they're going to know who you are and it's just going to ruin your entire basic training experience. Don't think like that. That's totally backwards thinking. That's telling yourself that you should do worse than what you can do in order to make things easier. Like, don't have that mindset when you're at basic training. So always do your best. But one of the ways that you can fly under the radar is literally by not talking to the drill sergeants. And I'm just going to say that like straight up. Like, don't go out of your way to talk to the drill sergeants. Don't go out of your way to be in a leadership role, a leadership position where you're going to be one-on-one, or not one-on-one because you can't be one-on-one with a drill sergeant, but you're going to be, you know, directly talking to a drill sergeant. You're going to be a squad leader. Don't do anything that when you're at basic training, the drill sergeant is going to have to figure out your name. Like, he's gonna have to call you or whatever. And if you can do that, if you can avoid doing things where the drill sergeant is going to have to pick you out of the crowd or ask you, you know, anything in general, if you can do that, then they're not gonna remember your name. You're not gonna get called out because they're not gonna know your name, because the drill sergeants, the people that they know their names. So if they know your name, you're far more likely for the drill sergeant to call you out, to tell you to do something. That's just kind of the way it is with life. Like, generally people don't call people out in the crowd if they don't know their name, right? So like, if they don't know your name, you're gonna get called on less, you're gonna fly under the radar, they're not gonna see you as much, and you're gonna make it through basic training with a little bit of an easier experience, because it's not like it's like super like more difficult or anything. But you know, if you get on a drill sergeant's bad side, you know, they might tell you just to do push-ups a little bit more every now and then. They might, you know, smoke you individually, but you know, if you are on their bad side, that's definitely not good. But by flying under the radar, the big positive for this is you don't have leadership positions. And if you are a squad leader, a platoon sergeant, or even a team leader at basic training, if they have those at your basic training. I know some basic trainings, they don't do team leaders for some reason, but for me, we did. If you're not in a leadership position, you're not going to have that stress, because when you are in a leadership position, you are going to have much more stress involved. In the higher leadership you are, there's going to be much more stress involved, because you're going to be working with the drill sergeants a lot more. If you happen to be the platoon leader or the platoon sergeant, or if they call it APG or PG at your basic training company, you're going to be talking to the drill sergeants every day. They're going to be hounding you every day. They're going to be yelling at you, telling you to get things in order. They're going to be, you know, looking at you when the platoon is not ready, when things are going wrong. They're going to be yelling at you, and then they'll turn and yell at the company, right, or the platoon. If any just random person does anything wrong, the leadership are the ones that are responsible. So without that responsibility, flying under the radar, you won't have that responsibility, so it makes things a lot easier. Now, should you actually try to impress your drill sergeants? Should you actually try to do things that put you out there? And I recommend that in two ways, right? So one, if you want to be in a leadership position, I do recommend that, just because it teaches you a lot about yourself, it teaches you a lot about your leadership skills, and it kind of grows you as a soldier more often. And when you get to your later units, even at AIT, if you let them know like, hey, I was the platoon leader, platoon sergeant, or whatever at basic training, you're looked at like, okay, this guy kind of knows how to lead just a little bit. When you get to AIT, maybe if you want to, you could be leadership there, or even whenever you get to your, you know, unit or whatever, that is going to be looked at as a good thing rather than not having that. So being in leadership is one of those experiences that might be tougher whenever you're in the moment, but it's going to pay off in the long run. Like, it is going to be more difficult at basic training. It's going to be more stressful at basic training if you are in a leadership position. That's just a straight up fact. But you are going to build on your leadership skills. You're going to figure out what you're good at. I figured out a heck of a lot of how I am as a leader. I figured out how to lead people, how to get people to do certain things, and just in general how I was as a leader. So that helped me out a lot whenever I got to my unit. When I got to AIT, I was the assistant first sergeant for a little while, just a short time at AIT. I didn't really want to be leadership at AIT, because once I got there, I was like, I just want to do the gym. And my platoon sergeant, this is a little tangent story, but my platoon sergeant wanted me to be the platoon leader for my platoon at AIT as well. And I told him, I was like, this is AIT, so this wasn't basic training. If you get told to be the leader at basic training, you have to be the leader. But my platoon leader platoon sergeant at AIT, he knew I wanted to work out. I just didn't want to be the leader at that time, just because it was AIT. I just wanted to work out every day, so that's what I did. I went to the classes and stuff. I got home, ate, went to the gym, and that was my entire day. And I was just like, look, like, I'll be assistant, I'll help, but that's not what I want to do. And I can't really remember where I was going with that for that thing. I guess I'm just like super tired or whatever. But the two things that I wanted to mention, like I said, was number one, like, if you want to be a leader, you kind of have to stand out a little bit. And if you want to improve on your leadership skills and to get those experiences, those leadership experiences, and build on that, then you're going to do something that will stand you out amongst your peers. Right now, that is not saying that you should suck up to your drill sergeants. Don't suck up to your drill sergeants. Like, you know, sounding off, doing some of those things that I mentioned in that one video. None of those things are sucking up to your drill sergeants. Whenever you're helping your platoon out, you should never go up to your drill sergeant and be like, hey, look what I did, you know, just anything. Like, you should never do that. Like, if you're doing a good job, it's going to get around to the drill sergeant. And if he wants to pick a platoon leader that he's not gonna have a hard time with, because for the most part, some drill sergeants might do this, but for the most part, drill sergeants are gonna pick the platoon leader. They're gonna pick who they wanna have. And they're not going to pick somebody who's going to make it a harder time on them, because their job is to train the soldiers. They don't really want to pick the person who's going to make that job more difficult because they're a terrible leader. So by standing out a little bit, not by a whole lot, by sucking up to him, you're going to be given those opportunities. He's going to know who you are. That's a good thing and a bad thing. There's pros and cons to this, right? So if they don't know you, you're not going to have as much stress as being a leader. If they do know you, you have a greater chance of becoming a leader at basic training and gaining those experiences. So there's, like I said, there's pros and cons to everything. So the best way to really stand out, to actually have a better chance of getting that leadership position, to, you know, be impressed by your drill sergeants and maybe graduate basic training with honors and get, you know, an Army Achievement Medal for doing that at basic training. Now, you're not going to get that stuff. You're probably not gonna get any kind of awards or achievements or anything by flying under the radar. So, you know, if you're wanting to go to basic training and you want to excel and do super great in the Army and you want to do super amazing things, you're not going to be able to do that by flying under the radar. And I want you guys to think about that when you're going to basic training, when you're thinking about going to basic training, when you see people's comments and they're like, don't ever stand out, don't ever do anything, fly under the radar. Like, you're not going to be able to get some of the achievements that you can get in the Army by not standing out. You know, you are going to stand out by wanting to go to boards in the Army. There's not that many people that want to do that. You're going to stand out by having a 300 PT test or higher on the extended scale. You're going to stand out whenever drill sergeants or any of your leadership ask for you to volunteer. Now, there'll be people that say don't volunteer for anything. Never, under any circumstances, volunteer under anything. And then there's people, kind of like myself, that say volunteer for everything, because whenever you are the guy that volunteers for everything, and now it doesn't literally have to be everything, but if you volunteer for things the majority of the time, things actually, in my opinion, that kind of works out in your favor a lot of times. Because if you're that guy in a military situation or something where you're always that guy volunteering, sometimes if they have a crappy job, they don't want to go to you because you always volunteer, so they're going to pick everybody else. So if you've been volunteering for certain things and they're like, all right, I got a job, I got something, whatever to do, or they'll tell a platoon leader or somebody to, you know, go pick somebody, and then he's like, no, get somebody else, because they're always volunteering. Like, that could possibly happen because, you know, maybe it's a crappy job or something. But, you know, in the military in general, when you volunteer for stuff, when you put yourself out there, generally good things are going to happen. And yeah, you could be stuck on doing some stupid duties or something like that, but in my opinion, in my personal opinion, the pros of volunteering, the pros of standing out and doing good things and having a good PT score and leading others in a really good way outweighs the cons of being a little bit more stressed out at basic training, the drill sergeants actually knowing your name, certain things like that. Like, it's just pros and cons, and you got to figure out what you actually want to do in the military and then figure out whether or not you want to stand out. So to summarize this video really quickly, if you are that person who wants to impress your drill sergeants, who actually, you know, doesn't want to, you know, suck up to them, but wants to do a good job at basic training, the best ways to do that is just have a really good PT score. Do your best to understand and, you know, reinforce your knowledge and stuff that they're teaching you, so they don't have to reiterate things to you all the time, because that'll really piss off a drill sergeant if they have to tell you things over and over and over again. So if you do those things, if you volunteer every now and then, if you're not that guy who just never volunteers, who's totally crappy, who falls asleep all the time, if you're not doing those things, then it's not necessarily going to impress your drill sergeants to the point where they're like, hey, good job, you know, you're doing great, soldier. That's not going to happen. But if you want to be in a leadership position, those are some things that you can do to improve your chances of having that chance. Now, if you want to fly under the radar, the big thing here is just do everything you can to not talk with the drill sergeants, to get them to do everything you can, really, like without like purposefully avoiding them, but do everything you can to not be put in situations where like you're in charge of the drill sergeant and you have to report directly to the drill sergeant or something like that, to where they're going to then know your name. Because then once they know your name, that kind of starts a little spiral. So you'll hear a lot of people's stories at basic training where, like me, I was flying under the radar, I was doing what I wanted to do, and then all of a sudden the drill sergeant knows your name, and then it's like your whole basic training experience changes because of that one thing. Like, it's pretty legit. And now, so for some of you prior service guys, you kind of know what I'm talking about if this happens to you. So like, if your drill sergeant's like, oh crap, I didn't even know who you were, it's like 4th week of basic training, and all of a sudden, because they didn't know your name, now they know your name, and then it just kind of changes a lot of things because just that simple fact. So do everything you can to have your drill sergeant not know your name, and that's just the best way to fly under the radar. So that's gonna be it for this video. I hope you guys enjoyed it. If you did, you can hit that like button. That would be awesome. If you want to stick around with some more of my videos, army related, vlog related, fitness related, hit that subscribe button. That would be amazing. If you want to follow me on social media, links are right there. WardM89, you guys can follow me. And also, new thing for this channel or whatever, link is in the description to BPN supplements. That is a crazy thing that happened yesterday if you didn't see that video. But I'm sponsored by BPN now, which is like super duper cool. So you can get proteins and stuff like that there. So I hope you guys have a great day, and I'll see you guys later.